we know of Dr. David Jacobs, his research in which he talks about how hybrids are walking amongst us. So,
Uh-huh.
but how long? I say it's possible that hybrids have been among us for a very, very long time, possibly. So let's just focus on the late 1800s to up until today. But we ain't got to go back to ancient times. So you have had abductions been going on for quite some time, but just not all abduction accounts have been documented or recorded. And women talk about how the ETs have taken eggs, embryos, and even their babies while they were all still pregnant. They would go in these ships and have their eggs and embryos and even babies extracted from them. So if the ETs have all the eggs, babies, and such, and doing all of this genetic tampering, then what better way to integrate their alien genetics throughout society than dropping off these babies into the world? Hence, we have the Cabbage Patch Kids, orphan trains, orphanages, and babies being dropped off at the doorstep of a house.
Wow.
Throughout time of that hybrid growing up in the world, it would introduce and replicate its genetics through its offspring. So maybe all part of these.
Same.
I like David Jacobs' work. He's talking about hybrids and walking amongst us. Okay, how? Okay, first off, we know about orphan trains. Maybe they're not all just orphans from parents that got killed during the war or whatever.
No,
we've heard
there's too many of them.
We've heard about babies being dropped off, especially back in the day. Babies just being dropped. Yes, being dropped off at some random house. Then we got the Cabbage Patch Kids, and then and what if that was just a way those were part of back then, the hybridization, that people were getting abducted, but maybe their minds getting wiped. And those babies were part of the eggs being extracted, the embryos, and they genetically grew those babies and then dropped them off at the house. They dropped them off at the orphanages. They put them on these orphan trains to populate the West. Do you want to help support Beyond Forbidden and receive extra content that's not seen anywhere else? By becoming a patron, a few things you will receive are the full-length 90-minute or 120-minute podcast episode. Members will also receive a private link of the video podcast and will only be exclusive to Patreon members. In-person, face-to-face interviews with some of the most well-known, respected researchers. Behind-the-scenes footage of interviews not seen anywhere else. And that's just a few perks. So what do you have to lose? Cut out one brain-rotting, overly processed Happy Meal a month that doesn't do anything beneficial for your mind, body, and spirit, and become a Patreon for just $5.